Hello, everyone. Welcome to Art School Live. I'm so happy that you're joining us today. I'm very excited. I'm always very excited. I mean, can't you tell? I say that every time, but it's true. I'm always excited. I have artist 𝗣cie𝗿𝗲𝗿 joining us today, and I'm excited because I've always known her as an oil painter. That's where I first found her. Was through the plein air salon, which I manage, and some of the beautiful paintings she's entered. And I had no idea that she did gouache until after Gouache Live, somebody said, hey, you need to have Michelle on faculty. And I was like, what are you talking about? She doesn't paint in gouache. Just kidding, she does. So let's bring in Michelle. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, so good to see you. Where are you calling from? I always forget where people are.
Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, nice. So nice and warm down there. It's cold. What do you mean it's cold? What's the temperature?
It was in the 40s this morning. So right now it's like in the 60s.
Okay, 40s, yes, 60s. That's a beautiful day here in Colorado. So not cold, but makes sense now why you're wearing a scarf.
Yeah.
So Michelle, before we started the show, you and I were chatting, and I kind of wanted to bring back some of those things for our audience today. So you just traveled to Italy. And did you do gouache over in Italy?
We did. We've done a couple years of retreats, and everyone has switched to gouache, very willing. And but one of the things that I reminded them, because I do teach 4 classes before we go on our retreat early in the year, and then they're brushed up on it, because jumping right into gouache, which it does, it's very good at behaving just like oil, but you know, you can't just wiggle your nose and be a gouache painter all of a sudden.
Yeah. So I know that from experience.
Yeah, switching mediums is fun, but this is a beautiful switch from oil to gouache for portability. You know, everything I had was in a small bag, maybe this big. Whip it out. You're at a cafe, you know, or overlooking Montepulciano, wherever we were, and you can paint like that, but you got to be prepared.
Yes, but preparation is important. I still don't think I have my plein air setup quite honed in just enough yet to be able to go and paint somewhere. So we'll have to chat about that. Yeah. The other thing we talked about was what you mentioned, how you can't just jump right into gouache. Like me coming from a pastel background, it was a little bit more challenging because I never had to mix paint before. Right. But after a lot of the survey results we had after Gouache Live was, it's a great event, but I need more fundamentals, because it does have some little nuances, right? Like the values dry differently, or the paint dries differently, like it shifts its values. What was the other one? Like how much water to use. I was finding that I was either not enough or it was too much. Like I couldn't find that happy medium. So when you made that switch, what was that like for you? Like how long did it take you to kind of pick up on why gouache was different?
Well, it took, even before teaching it, I started practicing it with it. And as long as I use it in the consistency, like I use the liquid, you know, when I think whenever you get into the pan ones and drying it out, that's going to react more like a watercolor.
Right.
But you're able to use some luscious brushwork, you can make it look like an oil, and luminous. That's my big thing, is luminosity.
Oh, 100%. That's how you know it's a 𝗣cie𝗿𝗲𝗿 painting. It's that luminosity. It just glows. The painting you just had recently in the plein air salon, Crowning Moment, that's one of my favorites. That gold, I love it.
Yes.
Well, this is great. So let's go ahead. We're going to get this show started, and then we are going to let you show us how you paint your beautiful, luscious, glowing paintings.
Thank you.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose. Now, here's your host, Eric Rose.
Welcome back, Kari Stober. Eric is still traveling. He is in New York this week for our Radio Inc. forecast event. So I have the pleasure of hosting you. And one thing I wanted to know, a lot of you know me as a pastel artist. And so every time I'm around and on Art School Live, everyone's like, yay, there's going to be pastel. There was no pastel this week. So I had 3 weeks to choose from. And so I invited a whole host of artists, and I did not realize that this entire week was scheduled for gouache and oil only. So I'm sorry if you were expecting pastel, but you're still going to get that beautiful vibrancy from today's artist, 𝗣cie𝗿𝗄𝗵. She is known for her glorious luminous painting, and she has this ability to just make things glow. And I don't know how to explain it. You can only, you just have to see her paintings to know that it's a 𝗣cie𝗿𝗄𝗵 painting. It's awesome. So I am so excited that we have her with us today. She is going to be showing us how to get power with gouache, create some luminous paintings, making it work like oil, which I've not yet had the luxury of doing, because as we spoke about at the beginning, gouache is a little bit of a tricky medium. It's not quite watercolor. It's not quite acrylic. It's not oil. It's its own animal. And it takes some time to kind of get used to how it works. So I'm really excited for what Michelle's going to share with us today. So let's go ahead and let her take it away.
Thank you so much. Let's make sure we can see this. I'm super excited to share this with you. I'm going to show you how small and portable you can be. I have 16 colors here. I also wanted to show, I think I don't want to lean it too far, but I use 2 whites in my sections there. You see the 2 whites, because I use one for mixing, and then I might use one for the very end at the highlights. So I think it's important, you know, because these do get a little, you know.
A little muddy. Do you use the same whites, or are they both like titanium white, or do you use different whites?
Yeah, in that right now I have both titaniums, because when I want a warm white, or you know, I'll just mix some yellow into it, or maybe a pinkish white or a bluish white, I'll mix that into it. So therefore I use that one section to mix, and the other section for you know, a real pop of light. Yeah.
Perfect. Do you mind shifting your camera a little bit to the, I guess, to your right, so we can see a little bit more in the middle? There we go.
How is that good? Is
Yes,
that good?
a little bit more. You're right now, it's off to the left. Other way.
Other way. Okay.
There we go. Perfect. That's perfect.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Here we go. So gouache. Gouache is amazing medium. And what I really want you to work on today, if you're painting along, because I know we have a few watch parties out there, is building layers. And that's important in your oil painting and your gouache, is you want to have a thin layer that's very luminous. You want to have a medium layer and a nice thick layer of brushwork. So that's going to be something I talk about today. Fortunately, with these gouache paintings, you can use your pencil. I have realized, working with all different students in different mediums, is that the pencil and the pastel tend to be really natural, because there's nothing between, you know, you've been writing with a pencil for your lifetime, which is amazing. And so this also gives you the ability, you could go as far with this drawing as you'd like. I personally like to keep it super loose so that I'm not locked in to the painting. Today we're painting some pears from a place in Cortona called 𝗣𝗏𝗏𝗏. And I know there's a lot of artists on here today that got to experience that. So that would be step 1, is getting the drawing on there. I could have done this before, but I want you to see how loose I stay.
Yeah.
And also, Kari, one thing, when I'm drawing something that's round, I draw with straight lines. I paint with straight lines, and the illusion comes together because we know it's round, but this makes it more fierce. I do this in
I've heard several artists say that they paint with straight lines, but they've never explained it quite like you have. That's great.
Yeah.
Can you remind me, what surface are you painting on?
I'm painting, sadly, on a surface called art multimedia board.
Okay, yeah.
And they've just gone out of business.
Oh, bummer.
So I bought them out. I mean, I went on every platform I could and bought as much as I could. But you can use it in a sketchbook, gouache, on watercolor paper, anything that will hold a water medium. But today I just happen to be on that. Okay, here we go. Time to get luminous. I'm starting with Opera Pink. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Yes. A nice wash with a nice big brush here. Soft brush. I tend to use mostly synthetics with the gouache. That's always a question. Watch this. Just like an oil painting, I'm going to tap that off so that it starts to set up and dry. How about that?
That's awesome.
So our perfectionists out there will want to, right?
Yes.
Let's keep it loose from the beginning, and you'll have a much more poetic feeling as opposed to journalism there. If you start loose, you're going to end loose. That's just the way it goes. Okay. Now I'm going to start developing, even with the underpainting, a few values. Value is king with everything. So there we go. A nice few opera marks. The foliage is much darker than these beautiful yellow pears. I say yellow very loosely. When you see them in person, they're quite green, maybe. However, the value is what makes them so luscious. Okay. Throwing this in here. Let's not get too tight. Stay loose, my
Stay
friends.
loose.
You'll love it. Yes. I use a term in my classes. It's been about 2 years. I've been coining this phrase, indicate, not illustrate.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So here we go. Nice foliage, maybe a sky hole here. I don't really have a focal point right now. I don't mind that. This is sort of a loose contemporary piece. A focal point will arise.
So, Michelle, we've got a question. Why did you decide to use opera pink for this? Do you always use that, or is it just for this particular painting?
No, I do use a transparent underpainting in all my paints. This opera pink happens to be transparent. When you start with something that already has some white in it, you're going to kill your luminosity right away. That's another luminous thing. So yeah, try to use maybe a transparent red oxide, an Indian yellow. I do love yellow and pink together, and I do love that red pink, if you will, sets off foliage amazing. Okay. All right, let's go for some greens. You know, Kari, I really think I'm spraying, by the way. I'm spraying my gouache. I'm trying to not only show you here, but also show you what's going to happen in the field as far as using gouache. It's very important that you keep it wet. Yeah.
So you're working right out of your little silicone tray for dipping. What are you mixing on?
I'm mixing on a metal tray right now.
Okay, like a butcher's tray?
Yes, exactly. I like that. I also, they do have a small one for travel. And
that's adorable.
Yes, right. And they're so cute. I just like working with them.
I think that's the challenge that I've had the couple of times that I've gone plein air painting is the mixing surface.
Yes.
How do you set all of this up so that you don't have to take 8 million things, but also have a mixing surface? So working on
right.
that.
Yes. The other little tiny secret that by the way, I'm still working thin here. I don't know if you can tell, but holding the brush, if you're working this way, you're drawing.
Right.
Okay. If you're working, turn that brush over, scrubbing these original layers, you'll have a lot more fun. The other thing for travel, sometimes I'll use an empty watercolor container.
Oh,
That's great for mixing.
perfect.
Perfect for the mixing. I'm pretty much a self-taught artist, and some of these things I've had to figure out too for myself. So it's always good.
So that looks a little bit lighter than the other one. Did you mix that with yellow or white?
It's just the thin, and
Oh.
also it's starting to dry.
See, there you go. That's what happens when gouache dries.
Yeah, so I'm still using this same nice green. I do recommend, while we're talking about, gouache, the professional grade, it will last you, one of those little tubes will last you probably 2 summers of painting, depending how much you paint.
Yeah.
And I paint a lot.
I have found that, so again, another thing learning using gouache, I was using gouache more like acrylic. So I was squeezing out so much of it, and you end up throwing so much away because you don't realize that you don't
Right.
need it. So
Right. And those
things I've learned over the years.
Yeah, those little airtight containers are amazing, with the silicone. Yeah,
Yes.
I highly recommend.
I have a bigger one that's got a thumb loop in it.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead. I know I'm not going to our superstar here, but it's starting to develop. So I want to show you a little bit of sky holes and how I would approach that. What do I want to say about sky holes?
They're a pain in the butt to paint.
That too. But I want to say it's always darker than the actual sky.
Okay, good to know.
Yes. Just a value or two darker. I'd also like to say when you do small ones, you want that to lead your eye right to your focal. Okay. Small ones are going to catch your attention more than big wide open spaces. Okay. So remember that you don't want some little fiddly, let me do one lighter than the sky. You don't want these out here. You don't want tiny out here. You want tiny in here where you want to look.
Okay.
Okay.
Good tip.
Yes. It's 45 minutes to express a lifetime of this stuff is always interesting. But I think the point here today is we were trying to get the power out of gouache, right?
Yes.
And feel like it's an oil painting. Okay. I admire, there's such an influx of beautiful gouache painters now.
Yeah, there's so many.
It's just so portable. And the quick dry, plus I do like the velvet finish that you get,
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna illustrate 1 or 2 leaves, and then we're gonna get to these pears. Let's go ahead. If you're looking at the photograph that we sent in, it's got a few leaves here. I think we need to think about where the leaves are catching the light of the sky. Not to illustrate them too much, but they tend to take on a blue or purple closer to the sky. and a little more golden green, if you will, as we come down here a little lower. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I've never paid attention too much to that.
Okay. These catch the light of the sky, sometimes the luminosity coming through. Again, trying to indicate and not illustrate too much.
I love that.
Thank you. All right. Few more I'm gonna do. It's fun. When you see a photograph like this, you really want to go to town.
Yeah, see, that's my tendency. I have a very mechanical brain that I'm having a hard time turning off because I try to paint loose. I want to paint loose, but then I just get caught up in all of the details.
Right. I did too until plein air. And plein air taught me that there's just not enough time to play
Well,
with that.
we are going to have to go painting together at 𝗮𝗄𝗄.
Oh my
You have to
gosh.
show me how you do this.
Yes, that'll be awesome. I'm so excited about 𝗮𝗄𝗄 in the Ozarks. Oh my gosh.
It's going to be beautiful. For those of you who don't know, 𝗮𝗄𝗄 is our plein air convention and expo that we do every May. Last year it was in Tahoe, which was beautiful, Reno and Tahoe. And then next year it's going to be in the Ozarks. And I'm super excited. I've heard that area is beautiful.
I'm excited. I went out there last December. I was doing a painting for someone and was able to spend some time out there. I'm super excited.
We've got a question for you that just popped up. Can you paint wet on dry like oil paint? Like
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So this is dry now here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where see this thicker leaf here, this layer of foliage there, nice and thick, but this is pretty much set up. So when you're using the water in the beginning, using the water, that allows it to soak into the paper that you're working on. And it's dry. It's dry. Now this is going to stay wet just a little bit longer, but not too long, Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever tried acrylic gouache or do you stick mostly with regular?
Well, I do love the professional grade. And the reason I do is that you can get those really painterly soft edges even when you're done. I could soften any of this out right now. Maybe I should show you. Look at this. You can soften this and push this back if you need to. And that's the beauty of the professional, or what do they call it? Designer gouache, I guess they call it now.
Yeah, versus the acrylic.
Or not now.
Right. We had an artist on earlier this week who painted with acrylic gouache, and he said the same thing, that you don't get as much blending because it dries so quickly and it's permanent. So you get a lot more hard edges with acrylic gouache.
Right. Which, if you're trying to save money, you can learn with that. But I think eventually you're going to want, to soften those edges. If you're definitely looking for that romanticism in your work, turning the form comes with the soft edges. Sending things back in atmosphere will come with soft edges. So I think you'll eventually want to work with that. But it was funny because I had some students last year in my workshop in Italy, and I was talking to them online, working with them in our small group, and I'm like, soften those edges. And she's like, it doesn't soften. I'm like, well, why not? You got, and she said, oh, but I'm saving that. And I was like, okay. We can't save our paint for the ultimate painting. We want to use the paint, right?
Right.
So, yeah. The only paint that's wasted is that's left in the tube. We've all heard that before. Okay, I'm spritzing again. Feeling a little dry. So just letting you know my process over here. We can't fit it all in the camera, but I did spritz again. Okay,
so Julia is asking, so I know you said that you use a synthetic brush. Is it for watercolor or is it for acrylic?
They are, I guess they're really for everything because you can actually use them in oil as well.
Oh,
The
nice.
soft
So it's a very
bristle
versatile brush.
Yes. I do have a set just for gouache that I can share because they're short handles and they're soft. And then there's the detail ones. We all need detail. But I do recommend the synthetic brush. Thank you, Julia. Okay, yellow. I love to talk about yellow. What I like to do, so here we've done everything from dark sort of to light, correct? So also, I just want you to know, maybe at the end we'll have time for a little palette knife. Love that action too. But let's talk about the yellow. When I build yellow, I love to start with the luminous part. I like to build light to dark. Even if I'm oil painting, sometimes I like to get the luminous. Look how thin I'm going with a nice lemon yellow. See that? Oh my gosh. Even that gives you a nice peachy, dreamy feeling. Nice and thin. Why am I doing it thin? When I want it to set up, I'll do it thin. Okay. So think about that when you're building these layers. I think sometimes if you're new to this, you're trying to rush so much and the whole surface is wet on wet on wet.
Mm-hmm.
I worked this wet and wet. Now this is drying and this is dry. So now I'll come right back into that. Oh, I got some green in there. I don't like that, but I'm going to go. Look at this. You can erase it because it's the designer gouache. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. If I wanted to erase this whole thing, I could, which is kind of crazy, right? Like if you were just in acrylics, you couldn't do that. All right, here we go. Here's some luminous work. On this edge, the sun's coming from this side. I'm going to push this right up into the green. I'm going to soften this edge completely and show some work with that in a minute. I'm going to do it here. Push this luminosity. I'm not covering all that pink because that's super fun anyways. Just pushing some of the sunshine up. Sunshine. I don't feel so guilty using my fingers when I'm doing gouache either. It's a little healthier. I am using the Monday mop right now, the mop brush for a nice soft wash. The reason I did that thin again was so that that'll dry real quick for us. It's so interesting sitting in a quiet studio.
Just watching.
There you go. All right. So as in an oil painting, we want to put some of the subject matter into the background and some of the background into the subject matter. That way we don't have a decal on top, and what we have is something that's very harmonious and mixes in together. So here I'm going to take a little yellow, the same yellow I've been using. I'm going to put it in that background. Now look, I can soften that in and make that look like, I don't know, it could be foliage, it could be pears, it could be anything.
That's so cool.
Thank you. All right. Now I want to build the form on the pear. So I'm going to build out just like the thing you've done for a long, long time is to build the form. So I'm going to go a little heavier on my yellow now. Okay. That's a lemon yellow there if you can't see it in your. And then I'm going to go ahead, instead of running it the whole length of this pear, I'm going to let it die there for a second and re-amp up the bottom of the pear. Okay. The whole time I still am using just the same as oil, 3 or 4 strokes and pick up more paint. That's how we get a more painterly feel and more paint on our canvas. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this all before, you know, but sometimes it helps when you hear it again.
Well, and in a different way too.
Yeah. Okay, another little dash there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use more of a cad yellow right up next to this lemon. Oh my gosh, these are so fun to do. I can still, I was gonna say taste the wine. I'll go with cappuccino and be politically correct here right now. I can still taste the cappuccino and the croissants from this vineyard that we were at. Oh my gosh. That's, I think, the most beautiful thing in plein air is the memories you make.
Mm-hmm.
The friends you make, the people you see. Learning the light, I guess, is utmost. Super fun. Okay, see how I'm building that from this nice middle highlight to, and I don't have the end highlight, so I would say I'm working medium now as far as viscosity of the paint. I did break that edge there, you know, round, might get a little boring, right? So
Right.
I just push that out, break the edge, and keep going. All right, now I'm going to go into spraying again, by the way. That's the one thing, that's probably the thing that took me the longest to get going, was that spraying.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Okay.
Yeah, you tend to forget.
I'm going into like a little bit, right? You're so focused here. I'm going into a greenish gold yellow before I hit that real dark shadow. These tend to go green before anything else from my experience of painting them. Are we doing good on time, Kari?
Yes, I've not been paying attention because I'm so enthralled with painting. We still got about 20 minutes left.
Okay, good. Oh, good. Oh, that's like perfect. Okay, good. All right, so that was a color that I really liked in Italy called cork. I really liked this color for some reason. It tended to be a great highlight for grass and also anything yellow, a good shadow color. Okay, I'm going a little more off chart here. Most people will, I've heard a lot of students say, but shadows are purple. Are they though? I don't know. You know, I like to try just a little bit different, a colorful approach before I go to that purple. So I'm going to try a little bit of an orange here to turn that form. I think it's nice and pretty. A little bit of red and yellow. I know the shadows on the photo are more greenish. I know. I abandon my reference really pretty quick when I'm painting. I'm looking for the end result, a nice end result thing. Let's go back to some yellow. I might end up having to go green here, but I'm trying to go more luminous. I'm gonna take a swipe more, really go push that value. There we go. That's making me happy. Do you see how that feels like a shadow without being a shadow?
Yes. Without being a shadow color, yes.
Yes, without being like a purple, I guess, if you will. I mean, I think that's so fun. Still saying pear to me. Yeah.
What's that color again?
Well, I went back into opera.
I thought so. I thought that looked like opera.
I went back. I'm digging that. And there's a difference between what's popping through the luminous thin and what it's doing mixing with the yellow.
Right.
So, you know, pink and yellow make orange. A pretty one too, you guys. You should try it.
It makes really pretty purples too.
Oh, yeah. I should do some of that. Okay. All right, keeping it loose, trying to work the whole painting. Notice, watch, I'm gonna out here because I can. Perfection is not, it doesn't mean sloppy, okay? I don't want anyone to think impressionism or loose edges means sloppy. It just means you can have some freedom. You can always cover that back up, but why not have a little fun while you're painting today?
Always fun.
Yes.
Do you wipe your brush off before you pick up new colors, or do you just kind of
Yes.
He does. Right there it is.
Yes. That is such a good question. I'm a huge fan of a clean brush. That way the colors that I'm looking to achieve really come across.
And they don't get muddied.
Yes. And sometimes, you know, like up here, you want it muddy, you know, you want it to sit back a little bit. I'm going to try to soften that back now that I'm looking and see what happens there. I love that about, you know, about gouache. That is such a beautiful thing to be able to soften any of these edges that might be dry and just go in there and tickle that just a little bit.
I love that.
And
Tickle
just
it.
lose that edge. Then you're not having, yes. You know, then you don't have, you know, mimicking shapes over and over and over. I mean, how boring is that?
Yeah.
All right.
Sparky has a question. When you're dipping your brush in the water, how far do you dip the bristles down? Are you just tapping it or are you soaking it?
Well, we use these little jars from Italy for travel. They're the little jelly jars.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I'm just dipping it ever so slightly in that. I mean, in your studio, go to town. You know, you can do whatever floats your boat kind of thing. But, you know, while you're out there, it's easy just to, to do that. All right, I guess I'm going to mix a teeny bit of traditional lavendery kind of color. Sorry, I'm mixing to the side. I can't see too well. I'm going to come across here. I'm going to try to put a little shadow of a leaf coming across here. Remember when you're putting shadows down that it's actually part of the color that you're shadowing that purple on.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, don't just go in with, be a little thoughtful of what color you're using.
Right.
That seems a little dark, so I'm just lightening it with yellow. It's still grayed down. It's still a darker value of that pear. And then I'm going to push some nice yellow right back into there and soften that edge of that shadow. Okay, it is a cast shadow. Those shadows tend to be harder than the form shadow, but they're always not that harsh, you know. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be super harsh to read as a shadow. Okay. How's it looking? I can't even tell. I'm so close to it. Is it?
Yeah. We're at the
Okay.
15-minute mark.
Okay.
We got another question. Do you normally paint vertically or would you typically paint flat?
Ooh, gosh, vertical. Okay. I thought you meant vertical format. Which that's another question in itself because I do love vertical format. No, I tend to paint on my lap, but this is just, this is nice for you to all be able to watch. Yeah. Don't go too dark in those shadows. Michelle, I'm talking to myself as yeah, I tend to work horizontally just because I'm doing this wherever I can find a bistro table, but working vertically is you know, our norm of plein air, right?
Yeah. Susan is asking, what is the difference between the cast shadow and a form shadow?
So that's such a good question. This is the form shadow as it bends up around the pear. And I'm going to put a leaf right here, a very distinctive leaf. And that is going to be the cast shadow. So the cast shadow is because something is putting a shadow on your subject matter. And a form shadow is the actual form of the pear.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. So let's get that leaf in there so that now makes sense. I'm going to put a nice leaf here and put some sunshine on it. Is that making more sense now there?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's put some sunshine on that. Lovely, beautiful leaf. This is where I do get a little more, you know, detailed here and there. Again, the blue from the sky hitting the foliage.
That just made that shadow pop out so much. That's so cool.
Awesome. I'm glad it's showing up on camera. You know, you don't know how it's going to work. Yeah. Maybe even, you know, that would have a shadow on it. But if we took a nice sharp highlight and we just wiggle it, I do a little Morse code there, dot, dot, dash. I don't really draw many lines. That's really going to help that sit up there too. How's that? Yeah. All right.
It looks perfect.
Thank you. I still need to get some, I'm going back in with a little, like if I was in oils, I know what would happen here. So I'm just putting a little reflected light in there and taking a little bit of that, a little bit of this orange to give still some form shape, and that, there we go. We gotta make that look a little better there. There we go. I'm digging that a little bit more.
I am too.
Okay, good, 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 good. All right, guys, inspired to paint some pears?
Yes, definitely.
Good. You could use it at Christmas, partridge in a pear tree.
Well, I like, yeah, I like how easy you've made this like a quick setup, you know, because there's a lot of times I want to just sit and paint and I got to get everything out and it's just too much. And so I end up not even doing it at all. So I definitely need to get
Yes.
set up so that it's much easier for me to just grab and paint.
Yes, I mean, if anyone wants to write me for my plein air, here's some highlights on the pear. My plein air gouache setup, I will be happy to share that.
Do you have that on your site or anything? Because we've actually already had a request for it from several people.
I'll put it there. How about that?
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll put it there. There we go. It's a nice juicy light on there. Yeah, it is really important that you are able to just sit down, like boom, the urge hits you, sit down, break it out, and let's go.
Look at that. You know, I've heard people say so many times recently about how, you know, you can get oil-like effects with gouache. And I was like, no, you can't. I've never seen it. And look at this. Like you've done it. That just amazes me.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you, Kari. I really think that it is, but you gotta you gotta practice, y'all. Like, you should see me trying to teach myself watercolor right now. Like, it's not good, but I will. But it takes me taking time out of my day to say, okay, you're gonna do this. You want it, so you gotta do it. And I think that's what's wonderful about these art school lives too. To be honest, you know, you're giving all these lessons. Ooh, I know what else it needs. It needs a touch of lavender. Hold on. You're giving all these lessons, and people can watch all day long. They got to pick up the brush. You got to do it. All right. Yellow compliments.
So here's my question. You looked at this and said, oh, it needs lavender. How do you know that?
Because it's got yellow. Yellow needs purple to live. It just needs it. I don't know. You know, when you start working with the when you start working color theory on your paintings, which is still what I try to do outside, I am not trying to record anything, Kari. I'm trying to evoke what I'm feeling.
Right. You're not a photocopier. You're an artist. So you've got to, I like that. I think I need more color theory practice because I don't know enough about it to go, oh, hey, it needs purple.
Yeah. That's to practice. Oh my gosh. You know, I'm putting
about 5 minutes left.
Okay. I'm putting a few stems there and maybe taking on a little highlight of that stem. Just to give you, so we've got, not only do we have thin, middle, thick paint, we've got big shapes, medium shapes, and now a little bit of small information. Okay, so you get three things, three big, middle, small, and thick, medium, and big. Am I saying that right?
Thick, medium, thin.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, for me, I think that will
call it done.
Call it done.
Or you're going to start faffing as Jenny Aitken said this week. That's my new favorite word. You're faffing.
Faffing it to death. Yes. I actually turned on for that one. I was watching her. She was wonderful.
See, I love her light. You and her both, like just the luminosity and the shine that you can put on things is just so cool.
Thank you. Let me do one more Stay there. Let me do
Okay.
one more situation.
We're not
What
going
if
anywhere.
we, what if we took our palette knife and put some light like that coming through, and then we can soften a few of the edges. Look at that. Look at the energy that just
I just got so excited.
brought out. I love
I was a little
palette
nervous
knife.
when you first put that on. It's like, oh no.
Yes, it can all be changed. It's gouache, you know. So just, you know,
I
throwing
like
around
that.
a little bit of uneven texture. Maybe I just take a tad of that cork that I love so much, you know, and just run that. And then look, you can soften. Ah,
And you said
so
that's a
much
mop brush?
fun. Yeah, that's the Monday mop. But yeah, this is probably my very favorite brush. It's a 1/2 inch and I can't paint without it. It's just
I
all in
think I
me.
need to
But
get that because
yeah, I
trying
don't
to
want to
soften
fast
edges
anymore.
just by using water and it ends up ruining it. So I think I need to invest in
Yes.
one of those. So before we go, Lucian is asking, will the thicker
Yeah,
paint
here's
crack?
it's not
Sorry,
that thick.
not that thick. Okay,
Let me see if I can put you to the side of no, I can't seem to do it without blurring it out.
that's okay. Look
But
at
it's
that.
not as thick as you would think. But
Yeah.
because you're building thin to middle to thick, you're able to get that dramatic, and it's also a value structure. You
Yeah.
know, the darks with the light, and then the yellow and purple. You know, that kind of
Yeah.
color theory stuff. So
Awesome. Michelle, this was wonderful. Thank you.
you're
I'm so glad that you were able to join us this week. This was a really great instruction. A lot of it, like you said, I've heard before, but you said it in a different way that resonated differently. So it was very helpful. Thank you. I'm very excited to now go and paint some pears and just paint everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. So I want to mention, I think I mentioned it earlier, but Michelle's going to be on faculty for 𝗶𝗄𝗄, which we are so excited for. That's coming up in May. We have, it's 14th to 18th. It's 5 days. It's so much fun. You get to go see all of these instructors. We have like 80 people. We go painting every day. It's such a good time. So if you're able to make that, I highly recommend you go. There's more information at pleinairconvention.com. And we also have coming up, we talked a lot about today, how gouache it's got a lot of nuances and can be a little difficult to work with. So we've got gouache boot camp coming up in February. We're doing that on the 19th. We're going to dive into a lot of those eccentricities, the values, drying differently, how much water do you use? All of those kind of things, really take a dive into the basics and the fundamentals to kind of help everyone get a better grasp of gouache before Gouache Live, which is in August. So check that out at gouachebootcamp.com. We also have a free ebook for everyone today, 7 Reasons Gouache Might Be Your New Favorite Medium, and I know it's mine. gouachelive.com/7reasons. Check that out. Lots of helpful information in there. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It's at Art School Live on YouTube. You definitely want to do that so that you get notified when we go live with fantastic videos like today. Thank you, Michelle. And also follow Eric on Instagram. And this week is it for me. Eric, I believe, is going to be back next week. Tomorrow, we have Craig Stevens, another gouache artist, who's going to round out the week of gouache and oil painting. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you guys all so much for being with me this week and being in the chat, watching these demos with me. I will see you guys next time.